A popular longevity supplement has been linked to worsening blood vessel inflammation and heart disease. This comes from a new study published in the Journal of Nature Medicine and has led to all sorts of hysteria online. And I want to start by calming everyone down and emphasizing that this is a possible link from a hypothesis-generating study. It needs further investigating and is not proven. But you need to know about this link because it may encourage you to take a more cautious approach to the supplement in the video, as well as all of the other supplements you may take. Many people take high-dose vitamin B3 supplements in various forms, such as NMN, NR, nicotinamide, or niacin for longevity purposes. This is in an effort to raise the NAD levels, a molecule central to our metabolism, to hopefully become more resilient against disease. So if people are using high-dose vitamin B3 supplements for longevity purposes, why now are we hearing about these possible links between worsening blood vessel health and heart disease? Well, the recommended daily intake for vitamin B3 is 16 milligrams, and for decades, clinical medicine used mega doses of vitamin B3 from 500 milligrams all the way to 3 grams a day to try and lower LDL cholesterol levels and prevent heart disease. The problem is that it didn't work. In the randomized studies, including the Thrive and AIM-HIGH studies, high-dose vitamin B3 did not reduce heart disease. And not only that, the participants who were in the high-dose vitamin B3 group, they had increases in new cases of diabetes as well as serious disturbances in their diabetes control. They also had an unanticipated increase in serious infections and bleeding. And when the vitamin B3 studies were combined in a meta-analysis that was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, it showed that high-dose vitamin B3 seemed to increase all-cause death rates by about 10%. Now, the form of vitamin B3 that was studied here is niacin, so that begs the question, will all forms of vitamin B3, including NMN, NR, and nicotinamide, also have these serious consequences? Or is it just a peculiarity of niacin? So let's have a look at NMN and NR, both of which are extremely popular in the longevity space. Well, in a 2022 review article, it notes that orally administered NR as well as NMN supplements will almost be fully transformed into niacin by the gut microbiome. And we know this from experiments that isotopically labeled the NR and NMN, so we could see exactly how these supplements were being absorbed. What's apparent is that these supplements are first transformed into niacin by our gut microbiome, and then they're absorbed. And I know we're going down a rabbit hole here, but bear with me. If NMN and NR are first converted into niacin before they're absorbed into the bloodstream, why do those supplements not cause flushing? So when you take high-dose niacin, your skin reacts, it flushes. So then why, if NMN and NR are first converted into niacin, why don't those supplements also cause flushing? Well, one important point here is that it could be that the gut microbiome can differ between mice and humans. Or it could be that the conversion of NMN or NR to niacin is over an extended time frame, so the flushing doesn't occur. Unfortunately, we don't exactly know what happens in humans because the isotope studies, they've only been done in mice. And unfortunately, I don't think that the NMN or NR supplement companies would fund the isotope absorption studies in humans, because if it is proven that just like mice, humans first break down the NMN or NR supplements to niacin, that's their business model finished. So once my rapamycin and exercise study is fully underway in June, I think the next study that I'm going to fundraise for is this isotope study in humans, so that we can exactly know how NMN or NR supplements are absorbed into the body. Anyway, my overall point here is that there's a strong likelihood that the NMN or NR supplements are first converted into niacin before being absorbed into the body, so would have the same long-term consequences as niacin. So why does high-dose vitamin B3 have significant long-term consequences, and will this change how I personally dose vitamin B3? That's exactly what this new study wanted to explore. It starts by saying that in particular, individuals with elevated markers for inflammation have been noted to have increased cardiovascular disease risks. So this study wanted to search for novel metabolites and pathways that may contribute to this cardiovascular disease risk. Essentially, they were trying to solve the so-called niacin paradox, wherein it does lower LDL cholesterol, but it doesn't seem to lower cardiovascular disease. But the first thing to note about this study is that it's an observational study with inherent problems, and we'll talk about those shortly. Coming back to vitamin B3, if you have too much vitamin B3 in your diet, you start to develop excess vitamin B3 metabolites, specifically 2-PY and 4-PY. And the authors found that for people that had higher levels of the 4-PY metabolite, they seemed to have an increased chance of heart disease. And just to be clear, it's all forms of vitamin B3 that cause the increase in 4-PY, so this includes NR or nicotinamide riboside, as well as NMN or nicotinamide mononucleotide. But like I said at the start of the video, all this is establishing is a link between the higher levels of 4-PY and cardiovascular disease. It's not proven. The authors go on to state that we recognize that the clinical observational studies, by design, show only association and not causation. Therefore, there always exists the possibility of extra factors that may have impacted our results. To try and address these issues, the authors performed additional genetic and animal mechanistic studies looking at 4-PY. And yes, those extra experiments did seem to indicate that 4-PY is associated with blood vessel inflammation. But here's the crucial point. Long-term studies will be needed to test the link between 4-PY and the risk of developing heart disease. Particularly because while excess vitamin B3 increases some markers of blood vessel inflammation, it decreases others. But instead of looking at these blood biomarkers, what really matters is what happens to blockages in our blood vessels, and from the niacin research, it doesn't look particularly promising. Overall, the new observational study links excess vitamin B3, specifically the metabolite 4-PY, to heart disease. So what am I personally going to do in light of this new research? Because I take 50 milligrams of vitamin B3 in the form of nicotinamide as part of microvitamin, and I'm currently working on the next version of the formula, which will be formula version 4. Well, for me, I still like the idea of supporting my NAD levels, so I'm not going to reduce the dose of vitamin B3 from 50 milligrams in the upcoming formula version 4 of microvitamin. But nor would I want to take more than 50 milligrams of vitamin B3. Some people take 3,000, 6,000, even 9,000% of the recommended daily intake when it comes to vitamin B3. They'll take it in the form of NMN or NR. But given the safety concerns from this new study, as well as the existing safety concerns from high-dose niacin, well, it's your health, your decision. Instead, if you're looking for strategies in addition to diet, exercise, and sleep to lower your heart attack risk, make sure to check out this next video here. And a massive thank you to all of the patrons supporting the channel.